Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm showing you how to make this gorgeous layered truck paper craft for New Year's Eve. There are loads of fancy fireworks in the back of the truck and it's on its way to a fabulous New Year's Eve party. Let's see how to make it. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-svgs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then go into Upload over on the left and Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the files on your computer or drag and drop them in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder and the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. And drag that in. And it should look like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see the layers next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file type. So if that's the case, click Cancel down on the bottom right and try again and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. Go ahead and press Upload, and then the design will appear in your recent uploads. So you can click it to get the green border, and then press Add to Canvas. Here's my truck, and you can see it has a lot of layers in it to make up all of those fabulous fireworks in the back. All I'm going to do before cutting this out is resize it to make it a bit bigger. To resize, click the padlock icon if it's open so that you close it. And you do have to click it twice sometimes to get it to actually close. It's a little bit buggy right now. I'm going to change my width to 9 inches, press Enter on my keyboard, and the height will change in proportion. That's looking absolutely perfect, so all I need to do now is press Make It. This separates out all of the layers into their individual colours. You can change the paper size over in the drop down on the left, and you can click and drag things about to move the positioning so that you use up less of your cardstock. This is a great design for using up some of your scraps of card, as there are just little bits of each colour that are needed. Some bits, however, for example the grey of the truck, do need slightly bigger pieces. So on this one, for instance, that's going to take up quite a lot. Go ahead and get all of your pages looking exactly as you want them to. Then press Continue down on the bottom right to connect to your Cricut machine. Get all of the layers cut out from cardstock, and then I'll show you how to stick them all together. Here are all of the layers of my New Year's Eve truck cut out, and I've laid them one on top of the other to check I'm happy with the colours. There are a lot of layers in the back of this truck, so it might take us a little while to stick it together. So we'd better get started. If you want to make this so that it can be used for any year, you can simply leave the 2023 off of the front of the truck. We need to start at the bottom and work our way upwards. So let's move this apart. I'm going to try and keep the pieces sort of together in sections to make it easier to stick it together. Right, so now we're left with these two bottom layers. And for this one, you see I actually broke my card there a little bit, but it doesn't matter because there'll be another layer going on top of it. All right, so for this layer, I think I'm going to use my foam squares, but you could glue it if you preferred. The glue I'm going to be using for this project is called Collall. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like other glues can do, and I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles to make it really easy to get the glue in all the little spaces. These are the foam squares I'll be using to add dimension. They're a little bit big, so I've actually cut them in half for my project so that I don't need to use as many. Okay, so turn this upside down and then start adding my foam squares. You want to try and get your foam into all of these sticky out pieces of the rockets and also in places like the wheels and the front of the truck, just because it will give it a better stick if you've got something on all of those points. and it means it's less likely to sort of flop down where there's nothing supporting it. Make sure you don't get your foam over any of the edges though, otherwise you'll be able to see it when we turn it round, and we don't want to be able to see the foam. As well as going around the edge of the truck, you want to put some foam squares in the middle too, and that just helps give it a nice, stable, layered effect. So the cardstock is going to rest nicely on all of those bits of foam. If you didn't put anything in the middle, you might find that it domes downwards under the weight of itself, so you won't get that nice, even 3D effect. Now that I've put all my foam squares on, I can peel the tops off to release all of that stickiness underneath. When you're done, pick it up, bring that bottom layer in. I'm going to line this up along those top rockets. So they should all line up nicely. And then you've also got the front bits of the truck and the roof that you can line. Then gently drop it down. The reason I'm doing it gently is that if I hadn't quite lined it up right, I could pick it up and move it. But that's looking good, so let's push down to seal. Next, there is this layer to sit on top. And I think for this one, I am going to do it as a glue layer. I have a feeling that for most of my other trucks, I might have glued that one and foamed this one. So this one might be a little bit different, but it is completely up to you how you decide to do it. I probably should have checked some of the other ones before starting to stick this one together. But the beauty of these layered designs is that even if you do stick them together slightly differently, they'll still turn out beautiful. Here's my glue on that one. And then I'll stick that on top to make the front of the truck. So next, I think I'm going to continue with the front of the truck. Maybe I'll do the back. No, I'm going to do the back first. I always struggle on this because you're building basically two different things on the same design. I'm going to go for the back of the truck because this is so thick all on its own. All right, there's so many pieces in here. All of these fireworks I'm going to glue because there are so many bits that it's going to end up the same depth as the front of the truck, which we'll do with foam. Because I like it when the fronts and the backs line up and match. But if you did want to add more dimension to the fireworks, of course you can choose to foam some of them. So my biggest party trick will be actually getting all of these on in the correct order. I think that one's next. You'll have an assembly guide PDF included in your download folder to show you the order to stick everything together in. But I don't have that yet because I'm deciding on the order right now. So next piece is this little one to go on the edge. Then we've got the orange over the top. This one, I might actually use a bit of dimension to pop it out. Trying to decide. Yeah, let's have one layer of foam in here. Give it some definition between the fireworks. There. And now we're on to the details again. So we've got this big white bit for that big fat rocket. Oh, I've stuck that on back to front, look. Oh dear. I don't think you'll notice once the next layer's on top, but that was quite silly. There's that one. Right, I'm going to check this one. And that one's right. There we go. Glue that one in place. And then next is, oops, and move this apart. Some more details, which again will be glued. See, I don't think you'll notice that I glued the wrong side on that once this is over the top. It's a little orange piece on this one to go. I'm going to put the glue straight on there. Stick that on. And then we've got this one next, which is going to create the outline border on that big firework. This is where these needle tip bottles are really good because it's very narrow in those gaps, but this will let me get the glue in there quickly and easily. There we go. I've actually smushed that out a little bit. Just use my fingernail to get rid of it. And now there's this one. This is getting really thick. That one on there. And I'm going to keep gluing these bits. I think. Actually, I'm going to wait for the end on that one and see how this ends up looking. So let's foam this big bit of the front of the truck. One of these days I'll be more organised and have decided all of the layers before I start the video. But not today. Just about get that one in the top. Be careful on this one that you don't put your foam over these gaps. Again, because we don't want to be able to see it from the other side. Lines up there. Just going to tuck it behind a couple of layers of the back. And then I'm going to foam this one because I kind of want it to line up with this side, but because we used the foam for those back rockets, I can't foam this side, otherwise it'll be taller than this one. So I think what I'll actually do for the version of this file that you get, so when you've downloaded it, you'll have an extra piece here, which you will foam. So I'm going to do you a solid blue bit, which will go on top of here, and that'll be foamed. And then you'd glue this one with a cutout on top. So again, refer back to your assembly guide for that. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that you'll have the same amount of depth between the blues on each side, because I'm going to have to glue these ones, which means you don't have the shadowing going on in the little gaps between the blues that you've got on this side. And it looks better if it matches. So yeah, you'll have an extra piece. Again, refer back to your assembly guide for that one. There's one. And two. Then we've got the two layers that make up the kind of spark on that rocket. One there, and the yellow on top. There. And now finally just these little hubcaps, and I will foam the orange and glue the yellow on top. One for the front, one for the back, and then a little bit of glue in the middle. Same on the other side. There we are. And then you've just got the 2023 to glue on the front. I'm actually not going to glue mine on because I'm going to be really cheeky and use the same one next year. So I'm going to leave that one not stuck down, but of course it's completely up to you if you want to put it on there. And there we have our layered truck design for New Year's Eve. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make this layered truck for New Year's Eve. If you want even more free SVGs for New Year's Eve, check out this Happy New Year design. This one was one I released last year, but obviously I've updated the date, so it's relevant for this year too. Check the link in the description to find out how to get this design. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut papercraft projects. Thank you for watching. Bye!